Every single thing in the world, or at the very least society in the civilized world, started off as a thought in someone's mind. The reason that you drive your car on cement or asphalt, whatever, roads instead of dirt paths is because that once upon a time someone thought, wouldn't it be nice if we were able to maneuver our horse and buggies over something solid and reliable and terrain that would always remain the same instead of being these dirt paths that are susceptible to the wind and inclement weather, and when it rains it's all muddy and fucked up and we cannot continue traveling on it. So they set out to pave a bunch of roads and a bunch of paths for people to drive on, and now we have streets, and on those streets we have street signs to tell you where it is that you are, and those too once existed as a thought in someone's mind. Someone thought, wouldn't it be lovely if there was a way to figure out where it was that we were going without having to point to trees or oddly shapen rocks or other landmarks like they still do in the South to this day for some reason. And from that thought, they set out to create the poles that put the street signs on so people could figure out where it is that they are going. And now, thanks to the thoughts that these people had, you are able to go to the Walmart on Main Street as opposed to going to the Walmart by that tree that's kind of shaped like a dog next to the field of grass that has the marks in it that look like a cloud on the ground. And the reason that we have stoplights on the streets that you drive on are because someone thought what a great way to prevent accidents would be. And they came up with multicolored lights that people will stop at so they know when everyone has a turn to go, because people are not intelligent enough to be trusted with being able to figure out on their own. So they set out to create these traffic lights, stoplights, whatever it is that you would like to call it. And now, thanks to the thoughts of these random individuals, you drive your car on a road where you can know where it is that you are going, and you do not get into accidents at intersections unless someone is a dickhead. But for the most part, you are good at intersections because of the thoughts that someone had. And the reason that you're driving around in a car is because someone had the thought of, maybe we should make a more efficient way of transportation that doesn't rely on food and can't get tired, it doesn't need to pull us, and that we can drive for much longer distances than these horses could stand and or tolerate going. I don't know that this is what their thoughts are, but they were something. It started off as a thought, and then cars were made, and now you drive a car. Or maybe you're poor and you ride around on a bus, but that bus that you ride around on was also once again a product of thoughts that somebody had for the people who can't afford cars and or live in super congested cities like New York and shit. And it would be an efficient way to travel for bunches of people to travel and all of that whatnot. And maybe they say it's because of climate change and it's good for the environment. And if that's the case, then that's because someone once had a thought that said a great way to steal taxpayer money would be to convince them that the world was the wrong temperature. So these other people set off with the bus thing, and that just set it all in motion. But the point that I'm making here is every single one of those things started off as a thought. So did every single other thing that you see in this world. From the planes that you fly in, to the houses that you live in, to the buildings that you work at, to the restaurants that you shop in, to the clothes that you wear, the furniture that you sit on, to the device that you are watching this on. Somebody once had the thought that said, wouldn't it be great if we can see what people were doing from a far away place, and they didn't actually have to be there, so we didn't need to go to a play, and we could just watch what it was that was going on. And someone added on to that thought and thought, what if people could actually make their own things and upload it to this, and all the connected worldwide internet, all of those thoughts came together to create the ability that you have to watch me currently from the chair that you're sitting on that was also once a thought in someone else's mind. All of it, every single thing in civilization comes from and or is a product of someone else's thoughts. There is nothing in this world more powerful than your mind. But most people do not realize the potential that they have just by thinking about things. But you too, regardless of where is that you are in life, regardless of how it is that you are doing in life, whether you're a success or a failure, you You started off as a thought. You are the result of all of the things that you think about. If you are a fat person, it is because you think fat person thoughts. If you are a poor person, it is because you think poor person thoughts. If you're a depressed person, it's because you think depressed person thoughts. Thoughts have cultivated the entirety of your life, the entirety of the world around you. Your whole entire reality came from your mind and the things that you think about on a regular basis. People become addicted to drugs because of their thoughts. People become incredibly rich because of their thoughts. People become in super great shape. People get in super great shape. I worded that terribly. Fuck you. It's what happened. People get in super great shape because of their thoughts. All of it. Every single thing starts with your mind. That is why the most important thing in this world is your mindset. Because if you do not have thoughts that are conducive to the goals that you have in life, you are never going to achieve said goals. You are not going to run around the world thinking like a fucking degenerate and wind up being a good husband and or wife. You are always going to be a degenerate with the thoughts of a degenerate. If you have the thoughts of a junkie, you are always going to be a junkie. If you have the thoughts of a failure, you are always going to be a failure. Because the things that you think about become the things that you do. And the things that you do shape the world around you. They shape the experiences that you have and they create the life that you live. I know people want to blame all of these other external factors. It's my genetics. No, it's not. It's your thoughts. You can have great genetics, but if you think like a fat person, you're going to be a fat person. You can have received all of the inheritance in the world from whoever, but if you think like a poor person, you are going to be a poor person, and you are never going to be able to do anything that you do not think that you can do. This is why positive self-talk is very important, and I know that there are people who laugh at that as a concept and they brush it off, but if you take a look at those people, then you will see that they are people who nobody would like to be. They don't even want to be themselves. The things that you say to yourself are very important, but most people speak to themselves very negatively. They do not say kind words to themselves. People talk down to themselves all of the time. They call themselves fat. They call themselves losers. They call themselves lazy. They call themselves fuck ups. They berate themselves constantly. But that talk, the way that they speak to themselves, is the reason that they continue to be exactly that. When you sit there and you overeat and you think, well, of course I did that, I am fat, you are going to continue to do that and you are going to continue to be fat. Excuse me. You are a physical manifestation of the things that you think about. So because of that, you need to control the things that you think about. And the way to do that is to speak to yourself positively. It starts off on a conscious level. You are conscious of the shit that you say to yourself. Like, I am amazing. I can do hard shit. I learn new and complex information easily. I keep my word to myself. I can get through whatever it is that you would like your things to be. You start saying these things to yourself on a conscious level. Eventually, you will reprogram your subconscious to standardly think these things. So then when you are met with an obstacle, instead of finding all of the problems and bitching and complaining, you will think good because you will have programmed your thoughts that way because of the way that you speak to yourself. Whenever excuse me, something bad happens, you won't complain about it, you will find the good in it because you will have programmed yourself that way. All of these things are incredibly important. The way that you speak to yourself dictates the way that you think, and the way that you think dictates the things that you will do. And if you cannot control your mind, then you cannot control anything else in this world. If you don't even have the power over what it is that you think, then you don't have the power over what it is that you do. And if you don't have power over what it is that you do, then you don't have power over who it is that you are or what it is that you accomplish, who it is that you become. Any motherfucking thing. And all of it starts with your thoughts. It is very, very important to master your mind. And the way that you do that, again, is by positive self-talk, is by doing difficult things so that you can show yourself that all of the thoughts that you have are worthwhile. When you tell yourself you're going to do a thing and you do that thing, you strengthen your mind. And when you strengthen your mind, you strengthen your ability to have these positive thoughts that are necessary for you to go on about having a positive lifestyle. Positive habits are very important, but positive habits start with positive thoughts.